What's up, everybody? Kinetic here, and welcome back to Path of Exile. I don't have a very action-packed video for you guys here today, but I've got a lot to talk about as far as how this whole train, man, how it was running so smoothly. You guys saw it in the last video. I had this Firestorm build down, man. Like, my gear was all good. Everything was lined up and with the skill gems and everything. And now I went and just like came in with a freaking giant monkey wrench to just destroy this beautiful, well-oiled running machine. Let me explain to you. So here I am, I'm now in the cruel difficulty, and just before that, of course, I went to take on the Lord's Labyrinth the other day to finally bring down that bastard, and I did. It did admittedly take me 2 more deaths to just get to him because I was being really reckless and kind of impatient. Also kind of testing to see just how fast I could run to get to him because I didn't want to spend another hour like I did the first time getting to him. All the loot was trashed anyway, it felt like, so I just felt like, let me just run, or try to anyway, through all this stuff, including the traps, and it didn't work out that good. I got torn up, like, by those traps. It was suicide. So when I got to the traps, I was a little bit more careful, and then so I got to the boss on the final round, and this was my second time, and I managed to kill him. I was freaking out too because the floor looked completely different. There was an entirely different layout of traps this time that included the spinning blades, which just made me really worried that I only had this little strip to run back and forth from to try and keep away from him. And you can see, like, I'm fumbling my skills as well because I can't remember how I've set up the Firestorm and the Flame Dash. I keep changing like placement of my skills like every 15 minutes, it feels like. So I kind of fumbled around, but I did manage to bring him down, thankfully. And I picked up more trash loot in the treasure room and got to the Ascendancy board. Now this is when everything just went, like, all the plans that I had, all the well laid out, you know, ideas just got completely thrown up in the air because I read the name Necromancer. Okay, like, you say Necromancer to me, right? That's like saying M&M's to a fat chick. Like, she's gonna be all over that before you can even blink, right? It's just that's just how I am. That's why I'm playing a pet build like this one. But the idea of taking it even further, like as a Necromancer by name, and what that offered, I spent hours, seriously, like at that board, not doing anything, just going over, like, what does that mean? How is it different from the Elementalist, the tree that I was supposed to go down, you know, more or less, based on the build that I have been using as a template, right? And as I looked into it more, and as I was reading other people's ideas and stuff like that as far as how they felt about using a Firestorm build, and rather than going Elementalist, instead go Necromancer, I decided to go with Necromancer. And there's a few different reasons for this. Let me show you guys kind of what's going on here. There's actually really not that big of a difference between the overall tree here compared to the Elementalist to the Necromancer version, other than, of course, the Ascendancy choices themselves, right? But looking into it, the way that this is going to work is actually going to be more interesting, I think. You might have even felt already, like I was starting to feel, that the Firestorm build isn't really all that impressive, like as far as like the gameplay to play and to watch. It's actually really simple. Just run around casting, you know, Firestorm most of the time, and then the occasional skeletons, right? And then on top of that, what really hit me was that first attempt on the final boss in the Lord's Labyrinth was how much micromanaging I was doing in ways that I didn't really find all that fun. Like, I was babysitting my zombies almost the entire time. Same thing with Malachi as well. Like, I'm constantly trying to squeeze in time to cast the Firestorm, but really most of the time babysitting my bodyguards, my zombies, and skeletons and stuff like that. And that's the beauty of going with the Necromancer version here, is because it will allow me to have tankier, much more tougher to kill pets that I won't have to babysit as much, and instead I can use that time and focus on my spell casting, my offensive spells, and of course getting the hell out of the way when I need to, you know, watch out for the mechanics of the fight and stuff like that. And that to me is just is much more appealing in concept. Whether it will actually play out like that, as the theory would suggest, hopefully it will. I really believe that it will. I'm going to, you know, make some adjustments and go through these to pick up things like Flesh Binder. You and your minions have 1% additional physical damage reduction for each zombie you own, for example. There's other things like more minion damage and life, not just here in the Ascendancy, but of course all over this tree. Like, there are more choices like that to pick up to make these guys stronger, in terms of like how much life they have and also how much damage they deal. So I really feel like that's going to be the better choice. But the past 2 days now, other than trying to figure out how the build itself will play differently, I've spent the majority of today now just trying to figure out now how do I get my gear to work around these new gems and this new setup, because it's quite different. I mean, we still have the Firestorm setup with spell echo and stuff like that. That really hasn't changed. We've also got the zombies themselves somewhere around somewhere. See, this is what I mean. Like, it's just chaos now. Okay, now they're over here. That's right, because I've now have a freaking claw in my other hand. But raised zombie, there's minion speed, enfeeble and blasphemy. This is a new combination with this this build. The blasphemy allows the curse to act as an aura, which is cool. So anytime I get within a certain amount of distance of enemies, or they come within a certain amount of distance to me, then they will be enfeebled, which I think is really cool. What else we got going on here? Okay, so Desecrate and Bone Offering. This is the new kind of wombo combo here, if you will, of the build. We've got Desecrate, which actually ties in really good with the choices that I made in the Ascendancy. Desecrates the ground, summoning corpses and dealing chaos damage to all enemies in the area. Now, they are literally corpses, okay? This isn't like a figurative thing, and they're not animated like my zombies. They are simply... wrong button. They are simply corpses on the ground. Kind of sexy looking too, this one in particular. But anyway, other than summoning the corpses, I can make them explode. but the effect out of that, other than massive amounts of gore, is the Bone Offering consumes a corpse, granting all of my minions the power to block both attacks and spells. So this is one of the ways in which they will become tankier, is by activating that they can then block attacks and spells. The skill consumes other nearby corpses, increasing the duration for each corpse consumed. So by basically having this combination of Desecrate to Bone Offering, I am of course killing lots of things, and there's corpses all over because of the reason for that, but I can also make my own corpses to have even more corpses to then go ahead and bone offer, and then my minions get more tanky as a result. But and how this gets really cool is in the Ascendancy choices that I made from the beginning. I went with minion damage and cast speed, because cast speed I think is really important, and one of the probably the better things to get up it faster if you can for this build, because of the spell echo and that we're double casting Firestorm, right? Don't want to be standing around too long doing that. But Spirit Eater, this is the way that I chose to go initially for this. Minions deal 30% increased damage, that's just flat. Desecrate creates 2 additional corpses. 40% increased damage if you have consumed a corpse recently. So the way that I look at it now is I can start up a Firestorm, which is a double cast, right? And then I can go ahead and, if there aren't already a bunch of corpses that I'm confident will activate for me, I'll Desecrate and then Bone Offer, and then from that, for a few seconds, I'll have 40% increased damage for abusing those corpses, which is great, and then 2% increase attack and cast speed for each corpse consumed. So the duration of it will last even longer because there's a bunch of corpses, right? For me and for the minions, we've got 40% increased damage. So it's a really nice combination and more interesting, like I said, because I think that just running around casting Firestorm 90% of the time, and sometimes sometimes skeletons, was starting to get boring a little bit. I imagine not just for me to play, but for you guys to watch. So that's really one of the biggest reasons why I chose to come in and to change courses with this build. It's just a matter now of getting all of this madness back in line. It was so good before, man. I was so happy with how I had gotten everything set up. And then I decided to change into Necromancer, but I think it'll be good. This is also going to throw another monkey wrench into another kind of plan. I've talked pretty often about how, whoa, I don't want to stand there, about how I would like to go as far as I can playing self-found, right? Well, with this build, it's gonna be a hell of a lot harder, and I probably won't be able to go nearly as far with this build in self-found as I would have with the other one, because of now we have a third color in the gems and the very specific combinations that these need to be put together. I need specific pieces of colors and arrangements on top of that, and I wish I could show you guys on the screen, but I'll just say it. There are 2 legendary items that eventually I will really want to get. I don't know if they're actually considered necessary in order to make this build by the people that are talking about it. But let me see. It's called Sibyl's Paw and the Katava's Thirst. Now the Sibyl's Paw is a claw item that is really cool. It gives us things like, for example, casting speed, which, like I said, makes it a lot better for us that we're not standing around for too long while trying to cast and stuff like that. But the real beauty is in the Katava's Thirst. What that does is it will automatically cast Desecrate and Bone Offering for me based on the casting that I'm doing with things, for example, in my other skills, right? It has a 30% chance to cast socketed spells, and when I looked into this and what people are saying, they said it's very reliable actually, and that you can keep this going. And again, because of the increased duration, because of the number of corpses and stuff like that we have activating, you have a lot of uptime on that combination. So it sounds really good, and I'm really looking forward to being able to get to that point where I can use that. So there we go. Now, most of the time I don't even need to do that. I probably could have ignored Desecrate, ignored the Bone Offering, and just skeletoned and Firestorm my way through that. But it's fun. I like being able to have more buttons to push. It just makes it more fun. I don't know. But you know what? I think I'm gonna wrap it up for now. That is a really chaotic and rambly explanation of where I'm going with this this build and how it's changing. But I think that it's gonna be a lot more fun to play, and hopefully, like I said, there'll be a lot less babysitting. I'll go back to him. I'm just gonna go kill some more stuff. There'll be a lot less babysitting, hopefully, with my minions, as they'll be a lot tankier, and we'll be staying alive, so that way I can keep my focus on casting the spells that are the bread and butter of the damage output for this build. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you approve of these changes? Do you think that that this will work out better for me? Anybody out there with experience as far as putting together pet builds, like for example with Necromancer or whatever, would love to hear some stories or comments or whatever about what's your train of thought on this, and I'll keep these videos rolling out. The next video will be some more kills, maybe some highlights and things like that. I'm looking forward to actually probably making some highlights. So far, this increased difficulty, they're throwing a lot more orange named enemies at me, and I'm hoping for some more challenge. But yeah, like I said, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Click the like button to support these Path of Exile videos here on the channel. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next video. Thanks again for watching. My name is Kinetic, and I'll see you next time.